Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Truth Bombs and Heart Nudges. Today, we have a very special guest and a really amazing friend of mine, Taylor Johnson. Welcome, Taylor.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I am so excited to share because this young lady, woman, I call her young lady. She's so much younger than me, but oh my gosh, I'm so impressed and in awe of her age and everything she's accomplished already. And I'm just so excited to have her here because I want to inspire all of you that are in your 20s or your teen years that think because you're young, what you do doesn't matter because you have such amazing gifts and talents meant to serve this world. And yeah, I could go on and on and on. But yeah, your age is just a number. It does not matter. God can speak through a 4-year-old just as easily as he can an 85, 90-year-old. So it age doesn't matter. But okay, so today is kind of a little different twist on the Truth Bomb and Heart Nudges, because we kind of wanted to look into what do you do once you've had a Truth Bomb or Heart Nudge. So today we're really going to dive into the obedience piece of hearing God speak to you. Then what do you do? And so partly the reason that Taylor is here today is because we've been on this interesting journey where God kind of brought our paths together. Like we had met and it's almost like I feel like our paths kind of came and crossed, and we went this way and came and crossed and went this way. And then we all of a sudden realized, oh my gosh, God wants something bigger. And so we both heard him. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. We both heard him pretty much the same time. And even though it was really wonky do times in our lives, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit, but it wasn't at a time where we were like, yeah, I've got all this time in the world to create this brand new program. And Taylor's like, yeah, I've got all this, I don't have this time to do this program, but we really heard God speaking to us. And so we did it. We were obedient. So Taylor, why don't you share a little bit about like where you were at when you kind of got this nudge, or was it a truth bomb? I'm not even sure exactly what you would call it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it was. And at that moment, we had just rekindled again, as you mentioned. And we both had like this time with God individually before we connected, almost like he was already preparing us before we knew it for like this big thing that's coming. Right. And so when we spoke, and I was talking about my big thing, and then you're talking about your big thing, and then the program got introduced in the mix, and it's like, wow, like I could use that. And you're like, yeah, I could use it too. And like it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be big and all this stuff. And so but at the moment, I was traveling a lot for work. I was had several trips planned, personal trips for family situations and stuff. And I was also in the middle of building a home. So ideally, it probably wasn't the best moment to financially, emotionally, and physically commit to a program as such. But there was something in me that was drawing me that said, you need this. You need this. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make it work out. Don't worry about the dollar amount. Don't worry about your location, right? Because we could meet virtually. We meet on Zoom every time anyway. And really the biggest piece of this program that I don't want to get too far ahead, but God knew I needed it. He knew that there was a big, big piece that was going to connect the dots for my big thing, her big thing, and like pretty much everyone's big thing, right? So there's something that I needed. And it was just not in my eyes, the flesh eyes. It was like, yeah, no, like maybe in like 3 months, we're like both talking about it, like, oh yeah, like it's, yeah. Like I totally want to do it. And she's like, I totally want to like make it happen. We're both thinking like maybe months ahead down the road kind of thing. And how often do we do that with so many things in our lives where it's a down the road thing? It's a thought for the future. It's not a right now thing. And so she voice messaged me one day, and she's like, it's April 5th. And that was like 4 weeks from when we had talked. And I'm like, okay, God, all right. So that's where I was. And that's kind of like that moment that we both committed. We were obedient to that. So
Yeah. So to give kind of like fill the listeners in just a smidge. So what happened was, um, I literally, it wasn't even just a call. Like, it was a full on journaling with God moment. And he was like, you're going to create this program. It is called Becoming the One God Called. Here's the first 4 weeks is about journaling with me. Here's the second 4 weeks is learning to love the way that I love you. And the third one was to live in purpose. And I was just like, what? um, and that's like a twofold kind of thing. It's not even just the connection with God, but it's allowing him to work through me, because this program came directly from him. I can't say, oh, hey, come join my program, because it's not mine. He just used me to create it because it's fully him. I learned and changed so much by creating it because I was obedient to him calling me and saying, Lori, I want you, not even I want you, you're going to create this program. And that is when I mentioned it to Taylor, because we had reconnected again. And she was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And so, and the time is, he like told me, okay, I want you to do it on April 5th. And I even remember thinking, but God, that's a Tuesday. That seems like a really odd day to start, but if that's what you want. And so that's, again, like Taylor mentioned, sometimes we'll talk ourselves out of it. We know that he said very specifically, do this one thing, but then our logical mind goes, oh, but we have this, and oh, but we have that. And we talk ourselves out of it. And then we wonder why we're not bearing his fruit, is because when we take that time to talk ourselves out of it, it's almost like you're disconnecting from the vine when you were connected to the vine. So yeah, to kind of put that more in perspective, we're both like, okay, April 5th. But then there was so much happened right around that time. And it was kind of, our goal was to have like more people. But we decided, you know what, he said April 5th. We're starting April 5th, and we're gonna see what happens. And magic happened. So much magic of God happened. And I honestly, and again, talking even about time is not our master, because there's no way, if I think back to how that world I created all these lessons and all the slides and all the videos for it, and on time is insane, because it was definitely God lengthening my day, because there was no way. If I would have tried to do this on my own fumes, it wouldn't have happened. It was totally him. So him.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we dove in. And like so much changed. So much changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And obedience in itself is such a tough topic, because we live in a society that doesn't really like the word obedience, because obedience means a submission to one's authority. And we're living in a time where we don't want authority. We want to be the rulers of our own lives. We want to make the decisions, the choices, the thoughts, and do what we want when we feel like we want to. And you get to a certain point in living your life disobedient, right? So disobedient where you get to the end of yourself and it's like, I need guidance. Like, I really do. I need guidance. I need direction. And I vividly remember when I made that decision, later in my teenage years, after living a very rebellious teenager lifestyle of, I was disobedient to my mom, my parents. Like, I wanted to do me when I wanted to do it. And I lived that life shortly after I was out of the house. And I quickly realized, like, I need guidance and I need to be obedient to some authority, because this life is very hard to navigate, and especially with no boundaries in your life. And boundaries are put there to protect us, and almost like narrow our focus to where we're living more intentionally, more purposeful. And that was just a powerful moment for me when I reconnected with the vine, when I reconnected with God. And it's like, oh, yes, like this is the spot, this is the place, resting with Him, and being obedient to His word and His truth. Because at the end of the day, I don't know everything. I don't know beginning from end. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what the next hour holds, right? so so I can only put so much trust in me, and those around me, right? So like my neighbor doesn't know everything. Um, Psychologists don't know everything, doctors don't know everything, but God does know everything. And we were meant to be in relationship with Him to where He is guiding us. Um, he is the vine that supplies everything that we need. And so when we are obedient and we align in that vine, like we're receiving, and it's just flowing right through us. It's a flow from Him to us, to the next person, to the next person, to the impact, to the environment, to the community, everything around us. And it's a flow. And so when we choose to be disobedient to that, we break the flow. Like we change the flow, and it just makes it not a pretty flow like it's supposed to be. So yeah, obedience. It's a tough one, but it's almost like once you're there, you embrace it. You're like, oh, this feels good. Like I want to be obedient. Like I want authority over my life. And so if we can get to that place where we acknowledge we need authority, then like so much would change for us. Where the pressure, the weight, the world comes off of us, like we're letting go of control, like He knows and He's got this.
Yep.
So
That's so true. And one thing too that we forget is that God wants to give us exceedingly and abundantly more, but He can't do that unless we are connected to Him. So when we go off on our own path, and we think, and you could even be someone who makes $1 million or maybe only make $100, He would multiply that like significantly when you're following Him and that connection to Him, because it goes much deeper than, yes, we're obedient to Him, but that's because we know in our hearts that He knows what's best for us. It's not about Him saying, oh, come be under my thumb. And He's not like a dictator. He's the love. He's pure love. And He wants to give us all the things that are already yours. And that's what we don't understand. He knew us before we got here. And so He already planned for our lives. Like everything that we need to fulfill our purpose, it's already ours. It already belongs to us. It's not something that we have to work for. It's not something we have to be worthy for, because we were born worthy for it, because you are your purpose. You are here because of that. It's like so intertwined. And I feel like we get lost in that. What am I supposed to do? And we're so busy looking outside of ourselves, but it's all inside. It's that connection to yourself through Him, because no one knows you better than the one who created you. And plus, because we come from a creator, we are creators. So it's not like He's just like, come be obedient to me, and then maybe if you're good, I'll give you things. No, He already gave it to you. That's the thing we don't realize, is it's already ours. It's already there, but we're not going to see it if we're not connected and seeing through His eyes. So it's a beautiful thing. And like Taylor was saying, and all that weight that we carry trying to do it by ourselves, that just dissipates, because we understand that, you know what? The highest good, He's always working for the highest good of all. He can see the all. I can't see the all, but He can. And so when I come under in His arms, like under His wings, and allow Him to just wrap Himself around me and hold me in His right hand, He knows where I'm going. He knows what I need to be doing or what I don't need to be doing. And so that ability to trust Him so faithfully is what gives you the gift of trusting yourself so faithfully, and knowing that when you get these heart nudges or these truth bombs, that I trust what I'm hearing. Because that is another thing. Sometimes you hear it and you're like, oh, did I really hear that? Because, that doesn't make any sense. And again, talk yourself out of it. But once you're so connected and you allow Him to speak to you all of the time, and you listen and do, or be, sometimes He wants you to just be, because you have to be in order to do, and then you have to do in order to be. There's a beautiful cycle I could go into the universal laws that are in play, but I'm not going to, that's another day. But yeah, there's such a connection. And if we weren't being obedient, like I wouldn't be here right now with Taylor talking about this, if I wouldn't have listened and created this. And it sounds crazy for me to be the one that says that God created this through me, but it's so powerful and it's so impactful. It changed me as he spoke through me to create it with him. So yeah, it's been a crazy fast chunk of time, because it is a 12-week program and it went really fast, but it was so beautiful, all of it.
It was. It was.
Yeah. So maybe since this is Truth Bombs and Hard Edges, let's think about maybe some at least one that we each maybe happened during that 12 weeks. And I know there were so many, but maybe like pull out whatever one comes to your mind right now that happened during.
Yeah. So many, right? One for sure was that you already mentioned it, that time is not my master. And I've always lived that lifestyle that is so go, 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 go. There's always something to do, somewhere to be, someone to meet, like go, 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 right? But is everything that I'm doing like actually intentional and intentionally growing my purpose and growing me closer to what God has for me? And so I would find in times that I wanted to, in times that I just had a moment where I lost my train of thought.
That happens.
Okay. So I noticed that, it's doing it again. I'm talking about time not being my master. Okay. So I would just go, 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 go all the time. And in times that I had nothing to do, I found something to do rather than just resting with the Lord and like genuinely resting with the Lord and sitting with him and hearing from him and like just allowing him to speak to me, like, speak to me, God, like, where do you want me to go? Like, what choices do you want me to make? Like, is this a right choice? And I just would make impulsive choices all the time. Like, and then I would regret them. I'd be like, oh, how did I get here? And so this brought so much clarity to me to rest with the Lord, not just journal to him my list of prayers every day and read a devotion and then just pray for blessings all the time. Don't get me wrong, that's a wonderful thing to do. It really is, and I encourage it. But that can't be all you do. If you are really desiring to grow your faith and grow to know the Lord, and actually get direction from him, like, we need to open up and actually rest with him to hear from him, right? Not just like get through our quiet time, like, oh, I'm having my quiet time. It's only like 10 minutes all the time. All I do is, write all my prayers, like, please bless me here, like, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it taught me to slow down and that time is not my master and that God can do so much with time because in his world, like, there is no time. Like, he's omnipresent. He is here now. He's here then and here forward, right? In all of time. So he can make what seems to be like something that seems like it would take hours in our world, in our timeline. He can make it happen in 5 minutes. If it's that just epiphany, he can make whatever epiphany you would gain in that 2-hour period of wrestling with whatever it is, he can give you that epiphany in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
If you rest with him and give it to him. And so that is probably one of the biggest takeaways from becoming the one God called that I gained, and that is helping me in so many areas of my life as a wife, as a new homeowner, as someone creating and working on some projects of myself with God, and as a sister, as a friend, in every area of my life. Like, I needed that And I need to continue pursuing that. And I remind myself in moments that I start to get like, anxious, when I start to get anxious and when I start to feel like I have so much to do, I have more tasks on my list than hours in the day. When I start to feel that, I repeat to myself, time is not my master. So
Yeah. And that's funny that you brought that up, because I did learn a lot about that, and I knew it, but until I created this program trying to work full time and doing all the things that I was doing, like I don't even know. I can't even explain it in a way that even makes sense, how I was able to just, right. It was crazy.
yeah,
It was so crazy. I think one of the biggest things that I learned in allowing him to create it through me was purpose. That was the piece where he was like, you're going to write this a month long about purpose. And I was like, I don't know anything about what people are supposed to be doing with their, like, how would I know? How could I do that in just one course for all people? And my mind was so blown when the lessons started pouring out, because they're right there in the Bible. Every time he would point me in the direction of a verse, and I was like, oh, what? That's my purpose. This is my purpose. That's our purpose. Whoa. Because just as much as we have a very specific, unique purpose that is tied to, our soul, all of us as people that are believers, we have a very unique, connected community purpose. And so all of those pieces come together that work along with our singular purpose that God put us here to do, to ensure that his will is being done. And so my mind was so blown. It still is, honestly. And I don't want to give too much away about that whole thing, but yeah, I'm almost thinking like our purpose is to be obedient. I feel like maybe that could be a bonus lesson that just came to my mind, because we are meant to be obedient, not for our detriment, but for our benefit. Because when we are listening and we are following, oh my gosh, it gives us everything.
absolutely.
Everything. Crazy.
And it would
amounts.
only make sense. Sorry to.
Oh, no, you're fine.
But it would only make sense that an enemy whose ploy is to distract and destroy, that he would skew the true meaning behind the word obedience and make us feel like it's like something just tying us down, that we're not allowed to do anything. Like we have to be stuck in these rules. We can't live a truly fun, adventurous life, because the word obedience, he chains it. He changes the word obedience, and he makes us feel like if we're in obedience, that we are like in jail. Like your life is no good. Like that just sucks for you. Like you get to have a boring life. And so he really does skew the word obedience and makes it unattractive. But he does that with all things that are meant to be beautiful and actually are beautiful, right? He skews the definition and the meaning of it. So you're absolutely right that obedience is freeing. And we have, he's constructed it to where we think in our mind that it equals chains, but it actually means freedom. You're living in absolute freedom when you're in obedience and living in obedience with God, because obviously he knows best for us and he wants abundance for us, and he promises it for us. Yeah. But we're the ones that choose to walk away from that.
Mm-hmm. And the one last thing I really want to talk about too is that when you're disconnected from him, that's when you feel like your soul's crying out, like you feel like something's missing. Like, I feel like I'm meant for more than this. And I feel like I should be doing this something, but I just don't know what it is. And that's that disconnect. That's when your soul, or maybe like, I truly believe when your soul is crying out because you are so disconnected from your actual purpose, because you are your purpose. That's when you feel sad or angry or depressed or anxious or stressed. All of that happens because your soul is literally trying to get your attention, because our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions are not meant to own us. They are meant to tell us something. But how often do we just think when you wake up? Because I can remember years ago when if I woke up sad, I would just like, oh, well, that's my whole day now. I'm just sad. I don't know why. I'm sad, but I'm sad. And I would just wallow. I didn't realize I could say, wait a minute, why do I feel sad? And just take a little time out and dig into why I'm feeling sad. Because when you do that, then that reason now comes out, and then I'm not sad anymore. I don't have to be chained to my feelings and my emotions. I am just like time. We're meant to master time. We're also meant to master our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings. And not only that, pay attention to what we actually believe, because we pick up other people's beliefs all the time. They could have just said something to you when you were little and you didn't really think about it, but it's down in your subconscious. And now it's wreaking havoc in your life because you're like, oh, I don't even believe that. What is this? So that time, that being obedient to the time of being with God. And I also wanted to mention this too. When you have a friend, so if Taylor and I got together and all I did was sit here and tell her, oh, Taylor, all my problems and I want this and this, and then I just disconnected, that's not a relationship. God's the same. He wants to talk. Like Taylor wants her time to talk to me and share with me. God wants to do the same with you. He longs to have that relationship with you. He longs to bring you back and connect you in so that you can see all the abundance, because abundance is your birthright. And if you're not living in an abundant life, then you're disconnected and you're missing out on the greatness of what you're meant to have. It's already yours. That's the thing. That's the kicker. It's already yours. So,
Right.
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we sign off for this episode?
Well, yeah, just to add on to that right there of it, it's already yours. It's like a buffet table, right? It's like walking up to the buffet table and just taking one bite of a bread roll. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, that's it for me. So that's kind of what a life of just dabbling, with God is like. It's like almost like, or it's a moment where you hadn't eaten, the buffet table's just been there sitting waiting, and you just haven't eaten for 3 days. You just go forever, you just don't go to the buffet table, and then all of a sudden when it hits you and you are like starving, like that's the only time you go to the buffet table. Right. And you just start what you can, and then but when you let yourself get that hungry physically, you actually can't eat that much. Like you fill up really quick because your body, it's almost like a shock for your body. So in this like analogy, really, like you cannot fully take in the fullness of him in that moment, whenever it's out of desperation all the time. It's only out of desperation, so being in the fullness of him all the time, it grows your capacity for more and more and more of him, to really just, it becomes a lifestyle more than just, oh my goodness, I am in a desperate need. Like, God, I need a prayer. Like I need miracles. When it's that all the time, it really isn't much of a relationship. So I really enjoyed this episode of obedience. I've learned so much about obedience in this journey. And so I just hope that you guys learned more about obedience today as well.
Yep. Thank you so much for being here, and check us out again next week. Taylor's, we're going to be back.
Yes.
So let us know if you have comments or questions. We would love to share more of our journey with you guys. If it, helps you on yours, that is kind of why we're here, to help you on yours, and for you to really grasp hold of all of the things that God has for you so that you can bear all this amazing fruit. Because sometimes we think that bearing fruit means for others, but it also means for us, because we must first have in order to give. So if you don't have it, how can you possibly give it? So I'm going to leave you with that question to think about and ponder. If I don't have it, how can I give it? Thank you so much, Taylor. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Bye.